Welcome on in, everyone, to Let's Talk Utes. We will be previewing the Utah at West Virginia game in this episode. West Virginia 2-2, losses at Ohio and at Kansas. Did get a great win in the backyard brawl over Pitt, to be honest. Huge rivalry win there. 41-10 loss to Kansas, most recent result. What are your initial thoughts on this game, Landon?
Yeah, my initial thoughts, just looking back at West Virginia's recent game against Kansas, Nico Marchiol, their quarterback, struggled a little bit. 15 of 27 for 126 yards, one interception. That came out to a 23.2 QBR. They were pretty good on the ground, 182 rushing yards. Jalen Henderson leading the team, 7 carries, 79 yards, which is an 11.3 average with a touchdown. So that's pretty impressive. He's for sure someone to watch out for. But my overall thoughts on the game is I think we'll learn a lot about this Utah team and the culture and how they can bounce back after a tough loss, to Texas Tech. This is going to be a huge game to kind of make a statement where it's like, hey, we're still here, we're still competing. And so I'm really interested to see what the team's mentality and what this game looks like going into West Virginia.
Oh, absolutely. It's the old adage, like, don't let them beat you twice, I think that really applies here, especially after a game like that. Something that I'm looking for from Utah's offense versus West Virginia's defense is how can they stretch the field? West Virginia, to me, watching some of that Kansas game, honestly looked pretty decent stopping the stuff that Kansas was trying to do, like right around the line of scrimmage, where Kansas was really able to take advantage of them was in the second and third levels. Utah, I don't expect them to be able to stretch the field because we just have not seen that from Whittingham offenses. Like we saw it last year from Beck at New Mexico, but I think it's pretty clear at this point that like Witt does have an effect on the offense, even if he says he doesn't. So, am I expecting that? No, but I do think that it's something that Utah needs to do if they want to ultimately reach their ceiling. And that's something I'd watch out for versus West Virginia's defense.
I am interested to see what Utah's running game looks like against West Virginia because we have a little bit of data now. They were able to run on UCLA very effectively. Obviously, the FCS game. Wyoming was relatively effective as well. Texas Tech, not really. Their D-line was too good. Those linebackers were too good. I'm interested to see where the ability to run super effectively stops, Like, can Utah run super effectively on West Virginia? Or is this going to be like, oh man, it's kind of just average? So that's something I'd look out for sure. Yeah, I don't know. West Virginia, looking at them offensively, I think Utah's defense should be able to put up a decent performance here. I wouldn't expect West Virginia to score over like 21. I could see like teens, even like 10, maybe even 7. I wouldn't expect them to score over 21. I'd be a little bit surprised. But we'll have to see how Utah's offense plays now that like in a little bit of a way the book is out on them a bit. A team's beaten them, a team's shut down the offense.
Yeah. I think like this has been a decade. Like the excuses are out the window, like there's clearly Witt impact there. Like anyone else that's denying that just like has their head in the sand because like it wasn't like this with Beck at New Mexico, even against like the Power 5 teams that they played. I do agree with Landon. I don't think that they're really going to be able to score on us. The only thing that makes me worried defensively versus West Virginia is we have seen speed kind of like affect Scally before. Scally likes to see the alignment of the offense and then get the call in late to adjust. But knowing that West Virginia is super fast, I'm sure that Scally will have something dialed up to be able to, fix that issue that we've seen. So yeah, I don't anticipate West Virginia is going to be able to score a ton on us.
Yeah, Scally definitely has gotten better over the years at like accounting for those hurry up offenses. Because I remember it wasn't that many years ago when people started doing it a lot and it was like, oh man, the first time we faced it, the defense was struggling. We could not get the call in, but he's gotten a lot better. Even Texas Tech went very quick on a few drives, especially like the first ones. Scally had the calls in. They were ready. The defense was aligned. Everyone was ready to go. So I'm not super worried about that at this point.
Yeah. Going back to the offense, Utah needs to find a way to do something more, like do something past the sticks. So what we saw versus Texas Tech was everything was either the line of scrimmage or within like 6 yards of the line of scrimmage. They only had a few plays that really went for over 10 yards. That's something that just simply has to change. Dampier may be limited running because he did not look explosive. He did not look shifty. You know, maybe he's a little bit bigger than he was at New Mexico, so he's kind of lost a little bit of that top end. But Dampier has to be a better runner. We have to be able to find a way to generate chunk plays. Even if, you know, we don't necessarily need it to beat West Virginia, I think we've all realized how important it is to literally just put that on tape, to just practice that so that when we do actually need it, you know, versus ASU after the bye, which we're going to need it there, we'll be able to do it.
Yeah, I feel like the explosive plays, especially passing, it's an interesting conversation because is it the personnel? Is it the play calling? It's hard to kind of differentiate without being a coach, knowing what the problem truly is there. Because it just looks like to me that we both aren't calling plays to kind of game plan for anything past the sticks. Like we just don't really have routes that are an option past that, as well as I'm not sure if we could execute it truthfully. And so seeing how much that can change in a week, I think will be interesting. And then as well with Dampier, I was hearing that he potentially might have some sort of minor ankle injury or something, and that could be limiting his play. I don't know if there's been any official word or report on that, but that's something to look out for as well.
Yeah, like I think I'm honestly like past like the injuries as an excuse. Like if it's gonna limit him that much, just like put in the backup. Like
I agree.
Like the health is there. Like
I agree. Like if you're playing the game, you're healthy. You know, that's kind of how I feel.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah, like
if
I'm
you're
not
in
gonna
the
give you
game,
excuses. Yeah.
if you're in the game, like that's how you played.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, 5 years from now, no one's gonna look at that game and be like, oh, you know, I remember he had like a very small like ankle tweak. You know, like if you're good to go, you better be good to go. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah, I definitely think that this is where we see whether Jason Beck is any good or not. Because versus those three really terrible opponents, you know, it wasn't really going to be challenging. Our base offense, where we just get the ball out in space, was going to be plenty enough versus them. We saw that that wasn't versus Texas Tech, and now there's a game plan out for us. You know, like you don't think Texas Tech's or you don't think West Virginia's coaches are going to watch that game? Like they for sure are going to watch that game and try to do what Tech did. I don't think they're as talented as Tech, so they probably wouldn't have as much success, but they're going to try that. If Beck doesn't have something new schemed up, then we're probably cooked like long term because we are going to run into better teams that are going to slow us down enough that they're going to be able to outscore us, you know, namely ASU coming up.
Yeah, exactly. For me, if I had to name like 3 keys to the game for Utah for this, I would do explosive plays. That's the first key. Second key, I would do probably being able to run the ball, like run push, or maybe something more Dampier specific, like effective quarterback run, averaging over like 5 or 6 yards a carry for Dampier. And then the next key I would do on defense would be just good secondary coverage, no blown assignments. I feel like those are the 3 keys in my opinion for Utah.
Yeah, I think honestly for me, if I had to go 3 keys or maybe just a key, I would look for yards per attempt on Dampier. That was comically low. I think it was just over 4 versus Texas Tech, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's unacceptable. That is not good quarterback play, and that's not good OC play, scheming up, you know, guys to get open. Yards per attempt needs to be closer to 10 than 4 for sure. Like honestly, like they need to be like 8, 9 yards per attempt. I really think that's what it will be effective for Utah.
Yeah, I totally agreed.
This is an interesting one because there's one other aspect of this is the travel. It is, you know, it's not a 10 a.m. game, but it is a 1:30 game across the country, East Coast at West Virginia. I don't know how. I think the crowd will be pretty decent. West Virginia seems like they have good fans. I think it'll be a true road environment. What do you think that affects anything for Utah, or is that just another element they got to plan for?
I think it does affect Utah a bit. I was never one to buy into like, oh, you can't win when you're on the road and you can never lose when you're at home. Like I always thought that narrative was overblown. But yeah, I do think it matters.
Yeah, and I mean, that narrative is definitely overblown. I mean, we haven't won a Big 12 home game yet. I mean, we're 0 so far, you know? I mean, that's pretty embarrassing for Utah. I mean, Utah, honestly, they have to get right here. I mean, this is a must win game for this season. You go into the bye week 4-1, you're honestly feeling pretty good, I think. Tech just maybe turns out to be a really elite team.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they run the table.
maybe Utah's performance against Tech is like the best one someone has against them in the Big 12 this year. I mean, not likely, but it's possible.
Yeah. Okay, X Factor players for the game. I think for me, it's not even going to be a player. It's got to be Jason Beck. I mean, that was a pretty poorly called game. You know, I do think there was wit influence there, especially after the turnovers. But I mean, you cannot be that predictable for an offense that was about, you know, speed and, you know, space. You know, there didn't seem to be a lot of speed or space in this game. You know, we weren't really going up tempo. The 2 drives we scored on were both up tempo drives, and then we just went away from that. We didn't do that very much, and Wood even talked about that in his press conference. So for me, Beck is huge here.
Yeah, I completely love that. Staying with the theme of not picking a specific player for the X factor, I'm picking wide receivers, and I'm talking actual wide receivers. You know, not DBs playing wide receivers, you know, not Smith Snowden, like not Hunter Andrews. I love Hunter Andrews, but like not him. I'm talking like Larry Simmons, Tobias Merriweather, you know, Creed Whittemore if he can play. You know, is it time to put in Manu Carvalho? Like what wide receiver can get open downfield and make the play? So the X factor to me is wide receivers. I think Beck, he needs to throw the kitchen sink. I think we should play 8 or 9 different wide receivers this game, truthfully. I know that sounds extreme, but like I'm being genuine. On the first drive, play 4 guys. On the next drive, play 4 different guys. See who can get open and who is actually able to create separation and make those plays.
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, what have these guys that were like playing religiously like shown us that they need to be in the game? They absolutely are a must, you know?
Yeah.
Like these guys weren't effective at previous stops, and that's the reason they came to Utah. And it's what we pointed out before the season could be our Achilles heel, and it's kind of coming to pass.
It for sure has.
We just don't have that dynamic talent there. So like they honestly haven't shown me anything outside of Ryan Davis. I think he's pretty good.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I mean, I would totally agree with you. Get the young guys in, rotates them for sure.
All right, so you ready for score predictions? You ready to predict the game?
Let's do it. Yeah.
So in this one, I do have Utah winning this one. I think Utah wins this game 21-10. It's not going to be the offensive performance that people want, but I do think that just getting out of here with a win it's going to make me happy as a Utah fan. Tough fought game. I wouldn't be that shocked if Utah loses, truthfully, but I'm going to go 21-10 Utah.
I would be a little surprised if Utah lost, but I mean, after last year, I mean, maybe not, because, you know, every week they said, oh, we're going to get this righted,
sure,
you know, we're going to get this fixed. The guys are all still locked in, you know, we're working hard, but it just was not the case. I think Utah, I mean, they definitely don't have Texas Tech's D-line. I think Utah will be able to run. I think, honestly, Witt is going to make this a super, super boring game plan. I bet we're really going to lean on the run. We're really going to, you know, we're still going to only do short passes. Like, Whittingham is going to double down. I mean, every time his back has been up against the wall, that's what we've seen from him. Double down, double down, double down. You know, don't try to analyze or, like, fix. Go back to your base identity and just double down. And so I'm predicting Utah to win 24-13. I think that they'll get some touchdowns. They'll have some good drives. They'll probably miss a couple field goals too, honestly. I'm kind of accounting for that because I don't know how our kicker is.
That's why I had 21, 3 touchdowns. I'm not expecting any field goals.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, 13, I mean, I think at home they'll probably be able to score, you know, at least a touchdown. But I think that Utah's defense is legit enough, and they showed that against Texas Tech, that I don't anticipate them to really be able to put a ton of pressure on us. So 24-13.